Russian retailers have launched pre-sales of Apple's latest iPhone, despite the company's export ban to the country. They're giving consumers the chance to pre-order the devices, but shoppers will have to fork out hundreds of dollars more than what they'd pay in the United States. On Thursday, both Russia's leading electronics retailer, Video Eldorado, and mobile network operator MTS claimed to be the first in the country to unveil the new iPhone 16. Video said phone deliveries would begin from next week. MTS said it expected physical sales to begin very soon. Apple paused all its product sales in Russia in March 2022 and halted services like Apple Pay. That was in response to Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, alongside Western-imposed sanctions, which sought to curb technology exports to Russia. Video says prices for the iPhone 16 will start at $1,225, $400 more expensive than the US price, with MTS charging a similar amount. Foreign brands that stopped exports to Russia now take indirect routes to reach customers, typically through countries that have not imposed sanctions on Russia. However, Western goods and technology remain popular in the country. It's a potential vulnerability that Moscow wants to reduce with domestic production. The Kremlin has told officials to stop using iPhones, saying that Western intelligence agencies have compromised them using surveillance software. Apple has denied those claims.
Spain's energy crisis has seen both gas and electricity prices soar, throwing one of its main industries into uncertainty: olive oil production. The country's famed liquid gold accounts for up to half of the global output, and 80% of that comes from Andalusia. But one farmer barely flinched at the rising costs, hammering fellow Spaniards. His secret?
We produce olive oil and we convert the olive stones into biomass, which we use to heat up the swimming pool, the underfloor heating system, and to have hot water in the toilets during winter.
While olive oil pits are used to heat the house, farmer David Jimenez Zamora says from September through the winter, they also power the machines making olive oil. But how can an olive pit power a machine of this scale?
Here we have the boiler, and from here it goes to a device that takes it into the heater. Here's a tube that feeds air to the serpentine, so it brings the olive stone inside and starts to heat up. Here is where we burn it and start heating this other part of the boiler, and from here is where the hot water passes, and from this other tube is where cold water passes. And then we go to the other part of the house.
While using olive stones as fuel isn't new in olive oil producing countries, it does show how the industry can adapt to help decarbonize the agricultural sector. And both farmers and industry groups agree nothing should go to waste.
What we have here is a kind of sieve that turns and separates the olive stone from the skin and the pulp and anything that can come from the olive. And that falls in here.
Which helps farmers to keep making their liquid gold.
People are now traumatized and very demotivated. Some people here have rebuilt their homes, even bought new furniture, and now find themselves in this condition for the third time. It is tough, and there is a lot of discomfort. There is also anger towards those who should be handling these situations. It's a growing anger. All these beaches here are places where turtles come to lay their eggs. And it should be natural for the eggs to come out on the right days. But due to the challenges that exist, such as the increase in activity in the sea, human activities, people building beyond the borders near the beaches, and poachers, all have a negative effect on the turtles.
Like so many fans across the globe, IT student Artem was determined to see Taylor Swift's Eras tour.
When this news came out, I decided I don't know how, but I really want to go.
But while the eye-popping ticket prices became the norm for Swifties desperate to attend her concerts, here in Moscow, the 22-year-old faced other challenges in his quest to catch the superstar on tour. Many Western performers have shunned Russia since 2022, when it sent its army into Ukraine. And now, outward travel to the West is fraught with complications. Artem applied 6 months ahead for an Italian visa.
I chose Italy because at that point it was issuing visas to ordinary tourists easier than other countries. I knew that visas needed to be done 6 months in advance, so got down to it in February via an agency. I just gave them all the documents and got my visa.
He is one of the Russian Swifties who, undeterred by the extra hurdles, embarked on daunting odysseys this summer, requiring visa appointments and clever flight combinations to watch the sold-out tour. His friend Elizaveta flew via third country to Greece, then on to Germany.
We dealt with the ways and got there individually. Lisa has an opportunity to get a Greek visa, so she commuted via Greece with her family. I did not have this opportunity, so made a decision on which country I want to go to and which visa was easier to get.
The students who set up a fan group 3 years ago have learned to adapt to the shifts in geopolitics. Elizaveta's Apple Music account is registered in Turkey, while Artem and others use workarounds to listen to music on Spotify, which stopped streaming in Russia after the full-scale war began. Apple paused product sales the same year. Despite the difficulties, Dmitry says Swifties around the world are just a click away.
This was a failure on the part of the United States Secret Service.
A U.S. Secret Service probe into the attempted assassination of Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump at a July rally found communication gaps and a lack of diligence by agency officials. Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe told reporters on Friday that those responsible would be disciplined.
The Mission Assurance Review has identified deficiencies in the advanced planning and its implementation by Secret Service personnel. These employees will be held accountable, and this agency has among the most robust table of penalties in the entirety of the federal government.
The July 13th assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, wounded Trump's ear, killed a rally attendee, and injured 2 others. The shooting led to widespread criticism of the Secret Service and the resignation of its former director, and raised concerns about how the suspect was able to access a nearby rooftop with a direct line of sight to where the former president was speaking. Acting Director Rowe defended the agency's actions in a separate apparent assassination attempt against Trump at his Florida golf club earlier this month. In that case, a Secret Service agent fired at a suspect after spotting a rifle poking through the tree line. The suspect, identified as Ryan Routh, fled, but was later arrested and charged with gun offenses.
We're at a pivotal moment in the history of the Secret Service and at a pivotal moment in the history of our country. And I've directed that the Secret Service embark on a significant paradigm shift that will redefine how we conduct protective operations. The threat is not going to evaporate anytime soon. And so we have to be prepared for this.
Rowe added that Trump was getting the same level of protection as President Joe Biden and Democratic presidential candidate Vice President Kamala Harris, his rival in the November 5th election. The internal Secret Service probe is in addition to other probes led by Congress, an independent panel convened by the Department of Homeland Security and the department's internal watchdog.